I'm going to kick us off today by sharing the latest insights from the Work project. So this is HOME's 2023 Global Benchmark of Employee Experience. And as Karen said, I'm a senior strategist at HOME, which is an employee experience agency here in Bristol. And I will explore our culture model and share insights around the importance of listening as a vital first step for embedding lasting and impactful cultural change. So as we go through the slides. Oh, sorry, I've just clicked through too many. But so the Work project is our research project. If you log into our website, which is www.thisishome.co.uk, you can download the full report. I'm just going to go through kind of the headlines and some key findings today. But please do log on. We've got the full report on there, but we've also got a number of mini reports that you can also download. So a little bit about HOME. We are the home of employee experience. We are just going through the final stages of becoming a certified B Corp. And our vision is to make every employee experience a great one. We want people to feel better for being in work. And we do that through designing the world's most innovative and authentic employee experiences, through from the higher stage of attraction and recruitment, through Inspire in onboarding, Admire through development and retention, through to retire in that separation phase. We know a thing or two about building healthy cultures. The truth is every organisation is unique. Some people say culture is inherent and intangible, but we know there are consistent employee experiences which drive healthy cultures. And our culture model focuses on the 6 fundamental levers that we can pull to create great employee experiences, healthy cultures, and ultimately better days at work. So welcome to the Work project. So we set out earlier this year, back in January, to understand the new shape of work and the experiences that are driving healthy cultures and what a good day at work actually looks like. So our research was open to anyone with a job anywhere in the world, and we used some targeted response gathering to make sure that we had a representative sample. And as you can see, we had over 4,000 responses from 53 countries across 5 continents. So if I take you through, first of all, the headlines, so the highs and lows of the global experience in 2023. The first headline is that only 30% of people would actively recommend where they work. So you guessed it, 70% of us wouldn't, which is huge, isn't it? And a healthy culture doubles the chance that you're having more good days at work. So we asked people how many good days they're having at work compared to bad days. And we found twice as many people working in healthy cultures were having more good days than bad. So if you flip these figures, this means that 57% of people in organisations with unhealthy cultures are having more bad days than good, which is a staggering number of bad days at work. And all those bad days matter. So an unhealthy culture dramatically increases the number of people who are looking for a job. And as you can see here in the light purple, 36% of people are casually looking for a new job. And in the dark purple, 34% of people are actively looking for a new job. So that's 70% of people looking for a new job in those least healthy cultures, which again is huge. The move of talent here, the potential for the move of talent is just huge. So I'm going to take us through a little bit of a breakdown around our actual culture model. So we looked at questions across each of the elements of our culture model. I'll take us through these now. So starting with purpose, which we define as work with meaning, we found that people who find their work meaningful are nearly twice as likely to be having more good days at work. Moving on to belonging, which we define as an equitable experience. Here we found some of our most shocking results, and it is really worth going on the website and downloading the mini report for this. But headline is 1 in 4 of us have felt discriminated against at work, and 83% of those people are looking for a new job. So it's a really, really dramatic impact here. Now, well-being was interesting. We define well-being as feeling better for being in work. And we found that half of people say their overall well-being is better for being in work, and this group were having more good days than anyone else. So moving on to vision, we define vision as working for an organisation that shares a future that you want to be a part of. And 79% of people know how the work that they do contributes to the goals and successes of their employer. Now, the final two levers of our culture model are the closest to my heart, having worked for the past 17 years, most of my career in this space. So for me, it was pretty disappointing to see that only 1 in 3 people do not feel listened to at work. We found that being listened to can double the chance of having more good days at work, but that isn't the case for all of us. And so then moving on to leadership, we found that only half of people believe their senior leaders are transparent. But when they do, 80% are having more good days at work. Now, we run a leadership program called Leaders of the Future with some of our clients, and developing leaders to be open and honest and more vulnerable with their teams is a core part of this. Now, as I said in my opening introduction, I'd like to spend a little bit more time in the listening space, just because that's something that I'm super passionate about. But on the next slide, this slide is showing us that every single element of the culture model is as important as the other. So all 6 elements contribute towards making good days at work. So what we did here was we split the data into the orange dots, which are the strongly agree or agree with the benchmark statements, and the black dots, which are strongly disagree or disagree with the benchmark statements. Then we plotted them in terms of the percentage of people who are having more good days than bad days at work. And you can just see the difference. So the closer to the outside of the shape, the more good days people are having. And for every single element, that gap is vast. So this stuff really, really matters at a very fundamental level as to how the employee experience actually feels. Now, one of the most fascinating findings in our whole report, for me anyway, was this. So we asked people to select the top 3 qualities their dream boss would have. So the ranking is the percentage of respondents that selected that option. And of all the options we gave them a lot to choose from. The number 1 standout characteristic that people want in their boss, what they're looking for from their leader, is a good listener. So listening really, really matters to people, and potentially more so now than ever. So the question then becomes, do our leaders actually give it the right attention? Is this coming through? And our results suggest not. So we asked 3 questions specifically around listening and speaking up. And even though being listened to can double the chance people are having more good days at work, we're still not consistently listening. So 1 in 3 of us don't feel listened to at work. 1 in 4 of us don't feel confident to speak up with a good idea. And I guess the most challenging of these results is that 1 in 3 of us don't feel safe to speak up if something isn't right. And as we highlight in our mini report on listening, which you can look into, the impacts of these are huge, both on innovation and on actually managing risk within organisations. Another section of the work project where the importance of listening came through was around values. So whilst 70% of people reported that their company do have a set of values, only 54% of them say that they're true to life. And the authenticity is the only thing which can close this gap. So are the values real? Can only be achieved through listening to your people. So where do we start? You might be thinking, well, this is all well and good. We know we're not getting this right 100% of the time. This isn't always oh, apologies, I just got a little bit of feedback then. So we're not getting this stuff right 100% of the time, but where do we start to try and make it better? Can I just check that you can actually hear me? Sorry, I have had a message to say that I'm muted, but I think that was from before, so I'm hoping that you can actually hear me. If I can't, just let me know. So where do we actually start to make this better? Okay, perfect. You can hear me. That's great. Thank you. So we run loads of projects at home with organisations that are looking to improve things like values, employee value proposition, culture change, leadership development, people strategies and behaviours. And whatever the challenge or opportunity we are looking at, we always start with listening. So wherever in the world that is, however we are working, we always start by listening to people. And that's super important. So listening is a powerful cultural lever, which firstly puts the human into leadership. So we can all recall times when we've worked for leaders who listen to us, but we can also recall the times when we work for leaders who don't. And both types of leaders, both styles of leadership can leave a lasting impact. Now, leaders couldn't possibly know what their staff or their employees need or want without listening. And a fantastic example that I always refer to is when I was working in BAE Systems. We had employee survey, as we all do, and there was a question about work environment. One particular area of the manufacturing part of the business had reported that work environment was a challenge for them. The score came out very, very low. Now, there were a number of ways that leaders could have responded to that without having done any listening. But actually, they went and they listened and they asked people, how could we make it better for you? How could we improve your work environment? It turned out that they wanted a nicer place to have their cups of teas and coffees, as they called their brew room. They wanted it to be brighter and lighter. Okay, the leader said, what can we do about that? How can we make it better? And they said, well, why don't we paint it? It'd be nice to paint it and make it brighter. Okay, so what sort of colour? Well, yellow. We want the walls to be painted yellow. As it turned out, it ended up with that team coming in of their own accord on the weekend, and this is what they wanted to do, to paint their brew room yellow. Now, there is no chance that those leaders would ever have come to that conclusion just by looking at the survey results and trying to implement change. The listening element is just so, so important. Now, listening also brings out the best in us all. We can't share our best ideas and do our best work if we're not being listened to. And it's fascinating to see some examples out in the world as to where, real employee listening has created massive business opportunities. So it was actually an IKEA employee who invented furniture in a box after not being able to get it onto a lorry. And it was an Amazon Prime was created as a result of a staff suggestion, which now brings in 5 billion in revenue. The third item on here, in terms of why listening is a powerful cultural lever, is that it builds an authentic employee experience. And we work time and time again with clients saying that, with things like values, you can't just go out and tell people that you're suddenly an inclusive organisation, for example, if that isn't the lived experience of your people. It creates a say-do gap, which only decreases employee engagement. So you really have to be able to listen, understand, and communicate with your people when you're implementing things like values. And finally, listening can provide a dynamic measure of your culture. And we've got some examples here. So we use listening to map culture, and we use listening to shift culture. So what we like to do is look at each elements of the culture against our culture model, map where you currently are, so the current culture state against each of the levers, and then look at a desired culture state, and then implement changes to close that gap. So looking at that culture model then, I guess I'd like to leave you with a couple of questions. So what would your culture map look like, and which lever would you pull first? Those are my main questions for you. So if you'd like to engage with us, then please do come and visit us, follow us, join us and get in touch. So we've got a number of ways to do that. So you can visit us on our website, as I said, thisishome.co.uk. You can download the main report and the mini reports, and you can join our mailing list where we will share each of the reports as we publish them. You can also follow us on LinkedIn to stay connected. So that's Home Bristol. Please do follow us, and we share content daily on there. And you can also join our HomeEX subscription service. So we actually share on an online portal all of the tools and inspiration from our clients that you can sign up to. There's a number of subscription packages on there on homeex.com. And we've offered you a discount code here, so TWP5023 for that 50% discount. With that, you become part of the community. You are able to book sessions with us for your people if you'd like to learn about a particular subject, and you can engage with us and learn from tools that we kind of share on there. And then finally, please do get in touch if you have an employee experience challenge or opportunity that you think we can help with. I've shared my email address here. So it's lucy@thisishome.co.uk. So that's all that remains to be said from me, really. So thank you so much for listening. I've really loved sharing this with you. It's been an absolute pleasure to join you today.